G'day everybody, Chris from the Headache and Pain Management Centre here, and today we are talking about how optical illusions might be a really good way to explain how pain works. If you've been following our videos and our sort of links in Facebook this week, we've been showing a few very interesting optical illusions, and this is the reason why, because it can actually help to explain how pain works in the brain, particularly chronic pain. So if you are joining me, type in below, say hello, and we'll go through those illusions with you and teach you why it's so important to know how the brain works when it comes to chronic pain. So look, as you know, optical illusions are things that you see in books. You know, you have those, if everyone remembers those ones from the 90s where they have all the colours on the wall, you had to look, you know, and sort of put your face in and out and you see, you know, the picture hidden in the picture. That's one of those sorts of ones. You've got others where your brain gets tricked. One of the famous ones was the dress about 4 or 5 years ago, where you know, people were swearing quite literally black and blue that the dress was black and blue, and others were saying it was gold and white. And basically the world almost ended trying to figure out what was going on. And the reason is because your brain is actually predictive. Okay, so human brains are predictive rather than reactive. Now what I mean by that is that what happens is that your brain is taking information from everywhere all the time, right? And basically if you were to try to process absolutely everything all at the same time, it'd just be too much for your brain to handle. And in fact, this is the sort of thing that happens with people living with autism or Asperger's syndrome, that it's sensory overload. They're not able to actually channel their focus onto one thing, and it just gets bombarded, and basically the response isn't always a good one. So when it came to the dress, what happened is that the blue and black and the white and gold, it was an absolute sheer fluke. And this is what got the neuroscientists all really excited, that when the photo was taken, the human brain wasn't able to work out if the light source onto the object, which was the dress obviously, was either a yellow light or a blue light. So if it was yellow light, you saw it as one color. If it was blue light, it was the other. And sometimes you can actually switch around. Here's another one here. So this is one from during the week. So you can see there that the ball's on the page, okay? So you can see there that there's some that are purple, some that are red, and some that are green, okay? And unless you've got, you know, some sort of brain injury, that's pretty much what you can see, all right? However, here's the trick. All of those balls are actually the same color, okay? And that color is brown, okay? So if we zoom right in on that, you can see that it's, you know, it may not even show up on the screen very well because it's far away, but it's actually brown. So whether or not it shows up on my camera correctly, I'm not too sure, but certainly looking at it live, it's actually brown. And then you've got the brown as well. And the reason why they appear different colors is because you've got the blue, red, and green lines that are running through them. And you can see with this brown ball here, okay, it looks more red because you've got the red lines coming through. This one looks a little more green because it's got the green lines coming through. This one looks a little more blue-hued because it's got the blue coming through it. So our brain has decided that what the color is based on the lines that are going through it, and it's been tricked into thinking it's a different color than what it is. The different one was this one. I'm just showing this on the computer now. This sucker right here. So this one blew my mind when I first saw it. So you have a look there and you ask yourself the question, which is darker? Is it A or is it B? Okay. And obviously when you look at it, A looks darker. Okay. So the square A looks much darker than square B. However, if we actually zoom right in on it, okay, and again, because it's got the context, you can't actually see it. However, when we do it and we add a different context in, there it is. Okay, so if you look at that closely, okay, your brain may actually change the color of it. So A and B are actually the same color, okay? So it's just extended color A down into color B. And if you look closely at it, you may actually start to get a bit dizzy because your brain's trying to figure out, hey, A should be darker than B, and then it sort of switches and swaps of what's happening there. So when you've got a different context, so in that particular example, you've got the black, white, black, white, black, white, you've got a shadow coming in, and the brain looks at the pattern rather than the shadow. So it looks, because the dark squares after two white squares, it sees it as dark instead of light. So the brain is actually predicting that it's dark and it's light, when as a matter of fact, it's actually the same color. Now, why does this matter when it comes to pain? So when it comes to pain, pain is predictive as well, and it's like an indication of potential danger or potential safety. So when we have this happen, just put that away for a minute. So when you've got that happening, effectively what goes on is that your brain is predicting that there's going to be a problem. Okay, so if something is inherently dangerous, then basically your brain goes, well, oh, we're not going to do that. Okay, you might feel a bit nervous or anxious about performing an activity, and then all of a sudden your back starts to hurt. This is particularly important if you've actually hurt yourself doing an activity in the past. Say, for example, the first lady I remember who did this said, I hurt my back doing the vacuuming 30 years ago and it's just never got better. And she said, I just need to look at the vacuum cleaner and my back starts to hurt. And basically what happens is that her brain is looking at the vacuum cleaner, okay, the lady's looking at the vacuum cleaner, it all goes into her system, she's thinking about the vacuum cleaner at a subconscious level, right? And then the reaction is just so fast that she starts getting back pain. Okay, so it's kind of like an optical illusion in a way, because what it does is it's predicting that it's going to be dangerous when, as a matter of fact, it probably isn't. Even looking at the vacuum cleaner makes it hurt because the brain is reacting in that way. Now, the important thing to know about this is that it's not you making it up, okay? So it's not you going, oh, I don't want to do the vacuuming, oh, I'm just going to make up that I can't do the vacuuming. What's actually going on is out of your control. It's actually a response from your brain to say, hey, look, that could be dangerous. You really shouldn't do that, okay? And if you don't understand that, if you don't know that that's actually how pain can operate, it can become very confusing, it can become very frustrating. You're looking for physical things that you can diagnose or check to see how to change it. And it can get to the point where you're actually having things like surgery, things like nerve burning, like ablations. You can have all sorts of really nasty things and the pain's still there. And if the pain is still there, then it's because the brain is actually really sensing that perceived danger. Like, it's almost like the smoke alarm's going off way too early, like the smoke alarm with a piece of toast. So when it comes to pain, pain is not always an accurate indicator of actually what's physically happening under your skin. It could well be just an aberrant signal. It can just be a bit more sensitive than what it actually is. So when it comes to optical illusions, when you look at the squares, it can look dark and light, but it's the same color. Your brain's been tricked. And if it's the same thing with chronic pain, if you've had it for a very long time, your brain can get tricked as well. Okay, it can be tricked into thinking that it's dangerous when in fact it's safe. And by the same token, you can have something very nasty going on, and you hear lots of cases, and you may have heard ones of your own, where there might be a big tumor or a mass or something really nasty happening, and there's no pain at all. So effectively what can happen is that pain's not always a really good indicator of how bad something is. It can just be an overwired sensitized system. Of course, the best thing to do, if you do have any pain of any type, it's not going away, it's staying the same. It's concerning you and you're really stopping your activity, is actually to look for someone who knows what they're doing when it comes to chronic pain, who understands the mechanisms by how pain works in the brain, and actually get assessed properly to see what the issues actually are. Because the more you delve into it, the more you realize that your brain can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, trick you into doing things or not doing things as a result of how things feel, as opposed to what things are actually happening. Look, I know that's been a little bit deep, and I wanted to introduce this topic to you, that brains can predict things that's rather than reactive, and it can often get things dead wrong. So it's good to understand how this works, so that when you do have chronic pain and you start looking at what the causes are, have an understanding that the brain can actually make decisions that are out of your control, and can actually really impact things and how you live in that regard. Speaking of pain, next week is actually National Pain Week, so we'll actually be having 5 live videos, a couple of videos actually in prime time, 7:30 at night. So sitting on the couch waiting to watch the latest in pain research. So we'll be bringing that to you. If there's any questions, please let us know. But for 5 days in a row, we're doing some Facebook Live videos, and there may even be a gift for our loyal followers on Thursday next week. So watch out for that. Hope that's been helpful for today. If there's any questions about anything from the video, please type it in below. If there's any other optical illusions that you think might help to explain pain, you can tag that in the comments as well, because it's really fascinating. I love treating pain that's being caused by the brain just being a little bit pesky with the danger and safety signals. Hope you have a really good weekend, and I'll be back on Monday with a Facebook Live video all about the danger and safety with pain. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.